Hello, my friends. Happy Saturday, and we are back. Yes, some more gel plate printing because we are on our large plate here today. And I've been the last few days really playing around with some print ideas using foliage. I'm finding that my work seems like it's moving a little bit more towards flora, mostly fauna and trees. They're becoming big kind of symbol icons in my work. It's starting to move me in this space of this. And so I've been just really playing around with a lot of that. And so I wanted to share that with you. And so welcome to my studio. I'm Robin McClendon. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for being here and hanging out with me. We do a lot of gel plate printing over here, collage, and definitely book arts. That's a big in my background is bookmaking. And so a lot of our projects kind of like take our gel prints and move them into those sorts of kinds of, ideas and projects and what have you. So today, I'll just show you some of my inspiration. I love this book. I got it online a few years back. It's actually from one of the museums in France. For those of you who are in France, it's the Musée National d'Histoire Naturelle. And so you could get it, for sure. It's 25 euro, it says, in France. But I paid quite a bit more. I got it on Instagram. I got it on YouTube. My gosh. I got it on Amazon. And if there's a link for it, I'll put it in below the video. But it kept on coming in. Well, when I first saw it, it was like $70-something. And I was like, yikes. And then I couldn't find it. And then it came back, and I was going to push the button. I'm like, $75? I don't know. And then it left again. So by the third time it came, I'm like, nope, I'm getting it. But it's these old botanicals from, like, some of them are like the 1800s, 1801. I just love this kind of stuff. You all who know me know I love this kind of stuff. And so it just became an inspiration for some gel prints that involve foliage. You know that, I'm probably more of an abstract expressionist. I like to do my interpretation of the world around me, which is not always going to be so exact as one's eyes may see it, but it's definitely about inspiration and maybe the feeling that you get from it, or the inspiration that comes from interacting, let's say, with a book like this. And so I wanted to make some prints that were like a nod to botanicals, but also just had kind of a life and an energy that would be different from it as well. So my goal was not to it's sort of like how my grunge gel prints are. That whole process is about making prints that, are not to the images that you're pulling from, but it's not like 100% looks just like the image. Nothing wrong with those, but as a working artist and, who sells their work and who is really much about my own art mythos, my own identity, there are rules out there around copywriting and all that, and images are no different. So if you take an image, and I've told this before in my various workshops and to my patrons, but just sharing it on large. If you take an image out the magazine and you reproduce it, in order for you to call that your own, you have to change it a significant amount. Now that amount, sometimes, like the rulings have changed over the years, but it's somewhere, between 40 to 60%. That image has to look unlike the original image of that photographer. Otherwise, that's that photographer's work, right? So I came up with grunge to really address that. It wasn't about trying to make absolute pristine prints, but how can you make prints that are a little grungy? What should the paints be doing? What are the techniques so that you can get something that is in the ballpark of it, but it's something that's also, distorted enough that you can make it your own. And so that's where that's come out of. Well, I feel the same way about the way I've approached doing the prints on the plate. it's nothing wrong with, I mean, nobody owes a copyright on that exact botanical print. So like, I love it when people make them and they're so beautiful and crisp. But for me and my work, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some color down. So I'm doing single color backgrounds right now. So I'm using bronze here in the black. But for my work, I still wanted things to be maybe interpretive and maybe a little bit more romantic and, you know, not quite so precise, and just sort of see where it goes. So that's what I've been playing with, and, you know, still have a ways to go, but I've come up with some things that are pretty cool, like as, you know, starting points. And so I thought I would just share them with you all, but certainly you can still use this process to make like really crisp prints, no problem. But, you know, since I'm working on it, I thought I would just share it with you all. Now, you may start off seeing one thing for sure, is I have this edge all around. I purposely am leaving this edge of paint around it because I'll show you, I'm going to pull a print, but I really like the way the print gives me this kind of really sort of funky, undefined edge, and really allows me to kind of start out with something that has an old world kind of undefined edge to it. I don't really want this really nice square edge. So I've left that and really allowed it to build up. And even when I clean the middle of my plate, which I've been doing, I'm using different paints and things are building up, I purposely haven't cleaned that edge. Now, the way I'm registering this is at the edge here. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I'll try to angle it back a little bit. I don't know if I can. So see right here? So this is what's stopping my paper, my tripod. But then I just put a piece of black tape here and here at the edge of the papers so I can roughly register it. Now I want rough registering because I still kind of want, sorry, fooling around with this. I want that edge on the plate that I'm ready to pull, but I wanted you to see how I'm registering it. So you can set up a similar thing. Okay, so yeah. So here we are. So you see how we have this really cool, it's almost like a stone lithography edge where you're seeing some bit, but it's not all there. And it's like this kind of business there. We're getting some old paint off the plate. And that's what I'm going for. This kind of place to begin with. So I'm going to do that one. And then let's do this pearl gray. So I'm making some dark backgrounds first. And then I'm going to work with the, you see I'm putting a good amount down because I'm just trying to get a nice, thick, even layer with this. And the plate is pretty big, so, you know, we have to allow for the... So let's really get it smoothed out now. I'm still kind of distributing this paint around the plate. Okay. And now we're just kind of start smoothing it out. Okay. Trying to get a good solid background layer. All right. So get another fresh sheet. And so once again, I'm just kind of putting it forward and I'm lining it up between those two pieces of tape. And then it's just a rough and easy way to register without driving yourself crazy, since we have to lay this piece back down. Of course, if you want to, Gelli Arts has an alignment tool, or you could run a piece of wood down on either side and tape it down. I mean, there's a number of ways you can just kind of create your own alignments if you want something a little bit more precise. Just want to get a nice okay. Alrighty. So there we go. So we have got a nice, and that gold was still down there, so we can see those edges. Okay, so we're going to put that aside and let it dry. And while that's happening, let me take some white paper. I just want to kind of clean off some of the extra that's on the plate. I feel like, do I want to keep it? Let's just try. We're experimenting. Let's try keeping it. So I'm going to go ahead now with some unbleached titanium. Should I do the unbleached titanium, or should I do, let's do the titanium on the, no, let's go with the Celadon for the gold. So just kind of working through my color palette. Do you have a Celadon already open? Where are you? Thought I was here. But is it enough in here? Let's just go ahead and use this one. Okay, so once again, I want to get a good amount. We have a lot of plate to cover. Now that might be too much. Actually, that's too much. So let's go ahead and put some back in there. Just use a palette knife and scoop it right back up. Could always put some more down if I need it, but this is a fresh bottle, so of course it's a lot more runny. Okay, that's good. So we can always add a little bit more, right? But it's hard to take it away. Okay. I should do it. All right. Alrighty. You need it. I'm finding with the botanicals, you need it to be a little bit wet. You don't want glazing layers. You don't want the really thin layers where you're trying to pull up like a gel, like a ghost print. You need a decent amount on there. You don't want it too runny, but you need to be able to see it because this takes a lot of paint, and when you pull this up, you still want it to be moist underneath it, right? So let's just try. Let's put it down. So you get some overlapping, and I'm okay with that. I've been doing prints, and it's kind of cool. But that over like that. But let's just see what we get here. Now, two things. What I have been doing is, so we have a bit of this gold that's going to, let's do it like this. I had another gold that I had already pulled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one, and that's going to be the first pull. And depending on what it looks like, the second gold one I have available can pick up the ghost. And I've been doing a few things with these where I come back and I've been taking some of my inks and drawing outlines. And in other cases, I'm picking up the ghost on another sheet. Just depends on how thick the paint is down. Some cases I just lift it up and then put the whole thing back down to catch the print. So the main thing with this is start off getting yourself a few just solid backgrounds, you know, and then go from there. Actually, I like this. Let me just get a little bit more down here. So I think I'll leave this as it is. This would be one of the ones I would come back when it's dry and use the inks to do outlines. Okay. So, try to show it to you. It's kind of curling right now. You see, sort of have this Tree of Life print. We'll let it dry, but okay, that's cool. And that gold underneath there, but I feel like, let me see what it's looking like underneath here. You know what? I'll lift it up. And put this down there. And I think I'm going to come with, let's use the charcoal. Just curious to see what this is going to look like. So, I think my plate moved a little bit, but it's okay. Okay, let's see what we get. It's still a little messy, right? It's a little thick, but it's interesting how kind of get this these prints that are, once again, you know, that's why I had the conversation about sort of the grunge, because you get this layering that just has kind of just like this old world look to it. Now, one of the things that I do is when I have a little extra paint there that's buckling, I just put a fresh sheet down and just rub it and pull some of it up. And what it does is it just makes your print smoother. So see, it took the extra and it just smoothed out some of the area there. But I like it. See where we're getting. And then I'll show you when it's outlined. Oh, love it. Okay, so let's see what this is going to pick up. Wow. I still have a ghost there. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm back, and this is nice and dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some Quinn, because I happen to like quinacridone with this Celadon, and it's a bummer because, you know, I don't have so much of it, but it works so well. I'm starting to experiment with some other paints, and hopefully I can find something that's going to give us the same type of yumminess and you know, performance on the plate to pull our prints and just kind of really be a harmonious background too, because this is a background color that just seems to work nicely for a lot of palettes, and that's also the challenge. So let me go ahead. We have that. It's a little bit more on the one side than the other. I'm crazy about that. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm going with a fresh sheet and put that down. Now this I'm gonna really just let sit for a while. So once again, I let it sit for about 5 to 7 minutes because I really want it to pick up everything off this plate. And then come back and I will look at the ones that are drying. And then I'm going to show you how I've kind of done the outline. So at least in this video, in the space of this video, you get some ideas about, you know, maybe thinking about this on your larger plates. I think it's also something about the size of the plate that gives it drama. But I mean, you could totally do this on an 8x10 or a 9x12. And, you know, just really practice the technique. But you can see I've kind of put a lot on here. Not so much that it was making the peaks and valley in the paint, but it was enough that you could see some little puckers. It takes kind of, in order to kind of give it this sort of photo negative kind of quality to it, it has to be a little hazy. So not so much that you don't see a print, but enough that you get a kind of nice haze to the print. I think the color choices make a difference too. So I'm using sort of really moody colors like this pearl gray kind of, you know, mimics sort of silver tint, you know, or when negatives get old, you know, so you kind of get that sort of gray background. Of course, the gold I feel is just a neutral so much. It sort of gives, well, you know, we like gold, but it gives this kind of old world aesthetic to the prints. This is actually bronze, but you can play with some of your tones. I think things that are warm and that go into the shades, you know, where it's more of a shade of a color. So it's going to have a little more black in it. But I mean, of course, if you wanted to do pop, like pop art, like Andy Warhol's, like, where he did negatives of like, you know, Marilyn Monroe, those are more famous ones. Those were done with negatives. He just used bright colors. So you can go bright. I think you kind of have to think about what your palette is going to look like. And like think about what direction you like to go in and then sort of think about the negatives like that. Oh, this is good. You know, I'm going to let this stay just a little longer. It's looking good, though. Oh, boy. And I'll flip it over because that's the best way of getting stuff off so the paper doesn't tear. But I think it's pretty good. Let's just flip it. Wow, see that? And the gray and stuff that was down there on that plate. Picking up. So let's just see how much we get. Oh yes, this really looks like a silver tint. It's all coming off nicely. Let's just kind of get this edge a little closer. Okay, oh my goodness, look at that. Yes. Oh, God. See how the, it's like that, it's nothing like this Celadon. I love it. And it picked up sort of the silvering from both. So you see how it sort of has this kind of silver tone to it, but it's on that quinacridone. And it's so much like, almost like got this feeling of like Tree of Life or something. Oh, I love it. And this is a print that I would continue to work with. I'm actually doing collaging on some of these. And I'm playing with the idea of, and I'll share it with you when I kind of get to that point in it. But I'm doing photo transfers onto fabric. And then I'm actually wanting to put bits in, but I want to do it on, I'm doing it on stained. I'm doing it on stained fabrics like this. And then, like, say, printing on it and then taking a piece of it and then, you know, collaging maybe a smaller element. Like maybe on this one, I might collage a smaller element on the corner or something like that. I'm just doing these kind of things where I'm just adding to the print, but pretty much the way of botanical. So the idea of like how these, you know, have, pieces of paper, writing about it, labels, different labels and stuff like that. So I'm still kind of going back to this idea of the botanical, but, and I'm also playing with my stamps as well, to put some of the elements down on here. And I'll tell you what, we'll do it on one, using the inks and using ink and my foam stamps. So this is pretty good. Okay, so I'll be back with the other dried ones, in which I'm going to show you the drawing around. Like this one I wouldn't draw around, but one of the other ones is drying, I will. And then also I'll show you how I'm going to do some of the stamping with text, like on the print, and also I want to do some of it on, I'll do it on fabric, but not today. But this is in stages. So, we're kind of getting our mojo with this. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back with this open network one, which is one I'm going to do some ink on it. Now I'm going to play with this avocado pink because it's a subtle, almost like a stain. And I'm playing with different intensities of ink. Some of the inks I've been using are pretty intense, and I'm liking some of those results. I'm also playing with inks that are not quite as intense. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking and kind of just creating a line, sort of a network of just kind of loosely following the stem work. Been going into the leaves too. So each one I kind of decide what I'm going to do. Like if I'm going to go completely into the leaves, like around, I've been going around the edges, or am I going to just kind of do this loose sort of network like this and see how it's going to dry? Because it definitely is going to dry light, which is what I like about this ink. And I feel like it can just give me a little bit of, kind of playing a little bit with the definition. So I'll show you when it's dry. Oh, I love this ink. And I just love the line that it's making here. More. So it's kind of creating lines that are subtle. And this ink really does dry quite light. So I find that once I get my first bit down, sometimes I go back and put a little bit more on top of it and just keep on playing with intensity. And because I'm really going for, like I said, this sort of photo negative type of feel to it. So though this is looking dark, you'll see what I mean. As it dries, it'll it's kind of interesting trying to get your lines, because I'm working with the stopper. Kind of does certain things, but okay. So I'm going to let that dry a bit, but while I'm letting that dry, I'm going to show you, we're going to stamp just a bit of it with this stamp pad just to kind of give it this feel of, may even put it up here because that's a nice open space. So we're going to take our Stamp Buddy, and the 𝐏𝐻𝐒 is one of my favorite colors to do these stamps on. It just looks so authentic. So Foam Buddy, we're going to take a part of this stamp and just... Now what I like about this technique too is those of you who've been hanging out with me for a while know it definitely looks like old pen work. And that's what I want. So now what I don't also want is I don't want this to go on the other side of my line there. So I'm going to kind of stop it right there. So when I go to print it, it'll print on, you know, it'll print on this waist piece. Oh, yes. See how we get that? Oh, I love it. So on the ink, you get a bit of a resist, but you just get this feel that there's some text. And when it dries, oh my God, it's so good. So that we'll let stay. And we'll let all this dry. As you can start seeing, it starts getting lighter, which I really, really love. And then I can even take... you take a really fine tip. Since I'm painting with, oh, that will be fine. Got all my brushes over here. But since I'm painting with the stopper, I kind of come back with like a watercolor brush and just kind of distributing it a little bit more. Because it's all going to dry very light. Just move some of it around a little bit more. So you can take a brush after you've worked with your ink and also kind of define the lines a little bit more, if you'd like. I'm trying to make sure that everything sort of stays a little light and wispy, but what I like about it being light is that it helps not have so much definition. To me, which is what would happen with a photo image. So let's let this dry and we'll be back to look at all the prints. Alrighty. Okay, so let's take a look at everything finished. I pulled some of my earlier ones. Well, these were ones I did a couple of days ago. And these were done with eucalyptus leaves. But you can see I was playing with the technique. And so I was using different color of the Sennelier inks. I used walnut, sepia, and then a black. And I just wanted to see what the different colors would do. So in this case, I went and outlined all the leaves. That's what I was saying earlier. And then this last example, I kind of just went up in the middle. So I'm playing with different ways and different concepts. But like, I just, I love it. I love this idea of line. And so I am still fleshing things out, but I wanted to show you. So this is chocolate with a cream background that kind of got a little bit diluted with the chocolate ink. But you can see how this one, the color is a lot closer to the brown. So it shows in some of the areas it's lighter there, but you can sort of see where it sort of kind of goes back into the print and kind of gives a different kind of look to it. And then this one, I just used black line. It was a little less leaves on this one, but it's a little more wispy. And this white, I was trying the Intaglio inks over it. And I kind of got got a little splotchy like this right here. You can see some of it in terms of it. I wasn't able to get a really smooth application because there were the other acrylics on the plate, and the plate really likes to be cleaned really well and oiled before I do the intaglio. But it's an interesting effect since I'm kind of going for this sort of moody, but I really like the way the black line. So the paint, you can see, made a much thinner impression because intaglio can go much tighter against your, in this case, the foliage than acrylics do. So you get less space around your image, which is why I was trying that. And I'm gonna keep on playing with it because I like the idea of it. And this was the green background with white intaglio and then the black Indian ink in the Sennelier. And now this is what we did today, right? So this is the last print we pulled, and I just love it. I love it. It's dried beautifully, and it really just gives just the hint of the image. And I'm just looking forward to doing more buildup on this one. And then this is the second one that we pulled, and I love it. Like this, I love. I would just add some more. I'm gonna start collaging on this one. But I really, really like the effect of this. Really just has that look of a negative. I think this gray pearl, so it's pearl space gray in Arteza, but it does have that really neat kind of silver tint kind of feel to it with the Celadon over top of it. And then this is the one we just did. So you can see how that ink really dries down, and it just, you get this really kind of push and pull where in some places you almost don't see it. And then in other places where it was thicker. And so it kind of gives this look of like having been worn a little bit, like aged. And so I'm gonna keep on working with this, but you see the print up top. Oh, I just love, you guys, most of you all have these, and I will reintroduce these. It's just taking me a minute with everything I've got going on because I'm black labeling the product. So I have to purchase them all and put them up on my site, but I'll be bringing these back out. So this one is definitely still ready to continue to work on top of. Not quite sure what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to continue to do some collaging. Yeah, but I'm just playing with these. So I wanted to share it with you all because I think they're, I'm having some success with these that are worth sharing and playing around with. And yeah, like these are all viable and ready to do more with. And I'll continue to share with you as I add more techniques, and also, some of these I finish up, I'll make sure to share. Alrighty, well, there we have it. Quite a number of changes and steps going on in this video, but I wanted to try to get enough of it together in one video so that you all could get the idea and maybe be inspired to do some of these yourself. All right, well, love you all. Thanks for hanging out again on Saturday with me and supporting the channel and being a part of this community. And let's just keep on printing and creating and having fun together. Have an amazing week. Please make sure to thumb up the video. And also, if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe so that you'll get the notifications every Saturday when the videos come up. And you can hang out with us. And also, if this is something you have other friends that you think might want to know more about my channel, please share the video, and that helps to push it out. But yeah, in the meantime, we're having a bunch of fun over here. See, I like this silver showing through this Celadon. It's really giving a nice feel there. Alrighty. 3 prints off of, well, we did our backgrounds, but off of one basic laying down of the Celadon color. All right, love you guys. Bye-bye. Have a great week.